Steiner, the secondary school principal, and we welcome you to a wonderful evening. The evening will be recorded, as well as the PowerPoint will be posted on our website, so no need to take copious notes or take pictures or anything like that, feel free. But we will memorialize everything for you to go on our website and use as a reference. So tonight is a perfect opportunity for you to acquaint yourself with the middle school team that your children will be a part of, as well as have the ability to begin to have a dialogue with your children in regards to class they want to take, goals, their aspirations. What's really nice about coming to Manhasset is we're one great big building, but the transition from 6th to 7th is usually an easy one. There's a lot of people here to support your children. And then from that point forward, we're fortunate that we're both a middle school and a high school to make a secondary school, that the transition from 8th to 9th grade is really seamless. So the team is the same. Some of the players shift, but by and large, you'll become very well familiar with the school, its resources. But this is really a great point, starting in early March, to have that dialogue with your children. And so we're going to go through a number of key elements that you're going to need to know as it moves forward between now and the end of spring. You're going to hear from all of our coordinators, directors, and EP in regards to what lies ahead. And if you have any questions, our contact information will be posted on the PowerPoint slides, and you can reach out to us at any time. It's hard to believe, class of 2029. Okay, so I'm Dean Steiner, secondary school principal. We have Dr. Moran Mabruk, who is one of our assistant principals, who is dedicated for middle school, primarily 7, 8, and 9, but she is really the point person when it comes to handling many matters with your children. And let me introduce you to our coordinators. Ms. Lori Marshall-Loria, World Languages and ENL. Dr. Terry McGrath, Science and Technology. Margaret Ronai, Social Studies and Home and Careers. Going too fast, sorry. Getting too excited. Stu Drabowski, Special Education. Not with us tonight is Jane Grappone. She will be with us next week. Who will be our interim guidance coordinator. Dr. Shauna Ackroft, Instructional Technology. Christine Raffo is our athletic director. This is her crazy time of the year with all the playoffs, so she wasn't able to make it. She apologizes, but she will make herself available to you in future meetings. Dr. Joseph Owens, Fine and Performing Arts. Dr. Rebecca Chowski, English. And Lauren Tallery, Mathematics and Business. Let me introduce some of the support staff members. Mr. Gabby Gandula, the blue team counselor. Ms. Brittany Maloney, our orange team counselor. And Ms. Stephanie San Antonio, our school psychologist. You're going to hear from many of them this evening. But I'd like to first begin with a very important person, is our middle school SCA president, Jenna Post, who will introduce herself as well as tell you a little bit about the SCA. I'm a huge fan of the SCA, and I think it's very important to be connected to the school, and through the parent group is a perfect vehicle. Your children will try to convince you that you never have to come up to the school. Don't listen to them. We want you to come and participate in these kind of venues, concerts, sports, you name it. We want you to be here. So without further ado, Jenna.
Thank you very much. Hi everyone. Jenna Post. Nice to see you all tonight. So basically, I know most of you or all of you know what the SCA does for the school, being at the elementary school already, but it definitely does continue in the middle school and the high school. We have a lot of events for the middle schoolers, starting in September, a 15-day picnic, a welcome back dance, do a Halloween dance. We also have grade level chairs for 7th and 8th grade, so there's 4 for each of those grades, and we have monthly meetings, which is a great opportunity to talk to the principal and find out things going on in the school within all the grades. We also have parent council meetings monthly or every other month, where we have special guest speakers, and we updates from Dr. Costi about things going on in school and some other people as well. So there's a lot you can do. You can be as involved as you want, but like Dr. Schlanger said, we do love any involvement that you want, and we welcome that. So if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. Like, yeah, my email address is up there. You can go on the SBA website for, to figure out, to find out any other information. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Appreciate it. Below the information from the SCA, you can see the first bullet is open house. We don't have the date secured yet, but I can tell you that the middle school open house is always very early. It's usually the 5th or 6th day of your children being here at the middle school. We start in early September. We put a mandate that there are no quizzes or tests prior to that parent-teacher that open house, which will be in person. And I can't stress enough for you to attend the open house, get lost at the school repeatedly, and really get a good idea of the curriculum as well as the teachers and the experience that your children will have. So it will be very early, so mark your calendar. It will be the second week of September, usually on a Wednesday or Thursday. We also encourage you to correspond regularly with counselors, teachers. Teachers are very accessible via email. Give a call. Don't wait until it's a problem. If you're not certain about what's happening, reach out. Make sure that you have your parent portal active. We have a parent observer account through for Canvas. So there's a lot of ways in which you can stay connected. So while it's easier to stay connected to one teacher in elementary school, we really put forth a lot of effort to maintain open lines of communication beyond the traditional progress report and report cards that are given each quarter. And then again, to attend a number of activities. I know that Dr. Roop's going to mention it, but on Wednesday, April 19th, the SCA sponsors a 6th to 7th grade orientation, similar to this, but a little bit different, where it's more about the nuts and bolts, about how to add money to your child's account for school bus, transportation issues, music lessons, kind of things that we probably will not highlight tonight, but are a little bit more granular in nature. So I encourage you to attend that Wednesday, April 19th at 7 o'clock. Probably going to be in the Black Box Theater, but it's either going to be the Black Box Theater or the other one. So clearly we are an understanding that middle school era is a unique one. They're clearly not in elementary school anymore, but they're not quite at the level of being in a high school. So it is a unique period of time. I'm living with one of them, and I also have a 9th grader, so I live it every day. It is very unique. For me, the boys are a little bit easier than the girls, but I'm a little biased. But I can tell you it is a little tricky, but it keeps you on your toes. But I can tell you it's a staff here that really is understanding of your children's needs, both in the middle school and in the high school, and one in which typically kids thrive here, and we put a lot of effort in that transition, not to cream them right from the start, but ease them into the school and have them be successful. So you feel comfortable, they feel comfortable, and the goal is for them to enjoy school. This upcoming grade is about 240 students, so we evenly divide them between 2 teams. There really is no difference between blue and orange other than that you have certain teachers on one, certain teachers on another, and then a lot of mixed in between. We have a lot of mixing because we have so many different levels of math, a couple in science, world language was never teamed, so it's not as clean as other places in regards to that teaming element. But we put that in place to make sure that teachers are communicating with one another, and that when we have team meetings, all the players are at meetings to help resolve issues, dialogue, and really get to know your children as best as can be. At this point, I'd like to welcome our lead nurse, Jill McCartney, to go over some health-related issues.
Thanks, Dean. Welcome. For those of you who have students here already, you know a little. For those who are new, well, welcome to the next 6 years. It's going to be very exciting for you. I live in Manhasset, been here for 30 years. I had 3 daughters go through the system, so I've been where you are right now, so I can relate. So, okay, as far as the health office goes, we are located across from the gym, down the hall from the cafeteria, and 2 doors down from athletics, in the back of the school building. What that means is that we work very closely with athletics, so keep that in mind. And just like at Muncie Park and Shelter Rock, and if you came from another school district, we can give medications in the health office. We can keep them there as long as they're properly labeled with doctor's orders, and your child can come down and take them during the school day if necessary. We don't go chasing after kids. We do a little bit at the beginning of the school year in case they forget, but then it's, they're expected to remember now. They're getting a little older now. They need to take a little responsibility. So usually by Thanksgiving, they're used to it if they have to come to the office. So the forms are located on the website that you need to fill out to get your doctor's orders. And again, you can't just show up with a plastic bag with some pills in it and say, Johnny needs to take this at 12 o'clock. We need doctor's orders. We need that properly labeled in the proper container. Okay, so illness and injury. If your child is ill, what does that mean? Please keep them home from school, okay? Fever over 100, diarrhea, vomiting, anything that's contagious. Remember, they're changing classes several times a day, a lot of kids in the hall. If you're sick, please keep your child home, and let us know if you want. And if they're going to be out for any length of time, we need the doctor's note. If they are injured, we have injuries happen, sometimes in school, sometimes out of school. Kids could be in crutches. Again, we have 2 elevators here. If necessary, we can get them an elevator pass, but again, we need doctor's orders for that, and for how long they need them for, and they're operated by keys, and they're pretty easy to get to once the kids get to understand the layout of the building. So, but we'll take that as it comes. Hopefully that won't happen with your child, but if it does, we're prepared and they can come to school and learn. Okay, now, for those of you who might have forgotten, New York State requires an up-to-date physical exam for students that are in the odd grades. 7th grade is an odd grade, so an odd number grade. So therefore, all 7th graders are required by New York State to have an updated physical exam. Try to have it done at some point before school starts. Send it to the health office, drop it off, however you can email it, however fax it, whatever works for you. And we'll get you all squared away because every student does need one for 7th grade. Also, there's a health history form that goes along with if your child is involved in trying out for sports. We use a system here called Family ID. What you do is you create an account on Family ID. Once you create it, it's done. You have it for 6 years. And anytime your child wants to sign up for a sport, that's how they sign up, through that system. They are approved, though, to do the sport and participate in the sport through the health office, which means that going back to the physical exam, it needs to be up to date, and immunizations need to be up to date, too. And the last thing I'll mention is there is a required vaccination for 7th graders. It's the meningococcal A vaccine, sometimes referred to as Menactra or MVO. Again, make sure that it's all up to date and submitted before school starts, hopefully. And then your child be ready to go throughout the whole year, participate in any sport they want to do without any delay or any complication. Does anybody have any questions you want to ask me? Okay, I think I'm done. Welcome.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. So at this time, I'd like to welcome Dr. McGrook, our assistant principal, who also builds the master schedule for both the middle school and the high school, to walk you through the process between now and the end of the year.
Good evening, everyone. I how are you? Welcome. Couple of things. So we do have some upcoming dates to keep in mind. April 19th was mentioned earlier. That is going to be a joint event with the SDA. So again, if you are available and able to attend, that's a great opportunity to get some additional information about the workings of the building. We also have on May 26th is our 6th grade orientation for the middle school. It's our lunch on the lawn orientation. And this is an opportunity for students to come in and meet some of the staff members here, as well as kind of get a little bit acclimated into the building. Our Marie Rogers Friday Night Live event is on June 9th, and that starts at 5:15. SCA usually provides us with our refreshments for that evening as well, and it's an opportunity for our Shelter Rock and Muncie Park students to meet one another and maybe some icebreaker activities for them during that time. As far as the scheduling process, so in June, you'll start to hear from our counselors, Ms. Maloney and Mr. Gandula, as they start to build the 7th grade schedule. And I'll get into a bit more of the detail on that in a moment. And then once that schedule is built, by late August, your schedules will be received, as well as your locker assignments. And it's usually about the day or two before school starts, we do some walkthroughs for students to come in to the building, explore their schedule, figure out how to use their lockers, and they'll have some of our high school students available to also guide them through and have some friendly faces for that first day of school. Speaking of, that is September 5th. So mark the calendars, please be back from the vacations by then. So, and again, we have that first day, our 7th graders actually have a full day orientation. So they actually don't attend their regular classes until September 6th. And on that day, they'll be meeting with their principal, with me, with their counselors, as well as all of the staff members of the Wellness Center. They'll be meeting their teachers. They will receive a presentation on some of our Anti-Bullying and Dignity Act components. And it all ends with a very festive pep rally at the end of the day. So it's really an opportunity for them to explore, get to know, get comfortable in the building, get to know one another, and kind of ends on a rah-rah note. In terms of their coursework, so pretty much most of our 7th graders will have these courses. So your English 7, your Social Studies 7, math is determined based on their 6th grade teacher recommendations, science as well, and world language is really by choice, so we'll have a choice between Italian, French, and Spanish at this point. We also offer the following exploratory courses. These are kind of based on what's going to fit in their schedule best. So ideally, we try to make sure that by the end of 8th grade, all of our students have experienced some of these courses, but depending on the needs of their schedule, that might change. So if there are certain support classes that are needed, if there's any kind of academic intervention that's needed, it might limit them in that regard, but we do try to make sure that they have at least some of these electives in their schedule in 7th and 8th grade. We also have all of our 7th grade students will have transitions in their schedule, and transitions is literally that. It is an opportunity, it's one period every other day, and it kind of gives them an opportunity to, if they need to talk to their counselors, if they need to access the Wellness Center, if they need a minute to just catch up on some work and do some homework in transitions. And we try to help them find their way into middle school life through that. And again, all students are scheduled for these courses. Obviously, anything special ed related would come through a CSE meeting prior. I do want to emphasize our middle school counselors do not make course recommendations. They are really just kind of inputting and helping to build a well-rounded schedule for any of our given students. So that being said, there's some things you may want to consider when we're looking at courses for your child. So in terms of the amount of homework that is happening in each of these courses, it adds up. So they're in school from 8:08 to 3:08, and then they are home and they have potentially about 2 to 3 hours of homework per night. So if they're interested in doing additional items, whether it's athletics, whether they're interested in joining our theater program, any clubs, that's going to start to add up. So it's really worthwhile to take some time and talk with your child about how they really want to divide their time. We want them to be as successful as possible, so really deciding what is the best balance for them is key. Not to mention anything they may potentially be doing outside of school activities, whether it's travel teams or other lessons or tutoring. So this is basically a sample student schedule. It may be a little hard to see on here, but I promise the presentation will be up on the website, so you'll be able to see it better. But you'll see, kind of the main components here, being that some of our classes run every day, some of our classes run every other day. So depending on that, that's kind of how the student schedule works out. On the parent portal side, the key thing is you can also not just see the schedule, but also their locker information. So if they're wondering where the locker is or their combination, you can also help to find it for them. On our report cards, one of the key things that you'll see on it is obviously the grades, but also any additional comments from teachers. So each of our teachers really takes a lot of time and effort to put in very individualized comments for progress reports and report cards. And that's something that you'll see at the end of each marking period. Additionally, also their attendance setup in terms of how many days they've been out, absences, and their honor roll status based on their grades. Dr. Schleinger mentioned earlier that Ms. Rapone will be joining us next week as our interim director of counseling. But just to go over some key components regarding the counseling department. So this is a phenomenal resource for our students here. Our counselors work tirelessly to make sure that our students are in the best shape before they enter the classroom, social, emotionally, mentally, so that they're really ready to access curriculum. And a lot of times that happens through individual meetings, through mediations that they conduct between students whenever any kind of student issues arise. Our counselors are also involved in all of our team meetings, so when our teachers get together to discuss any problems or concerns that they're seeing, we try to catch those as early as possible, and our counselors really do a great job of trying to maneuver and make sure that all of the resources needed for those students are available. So whether that's through IST meetings or potentially recommending them for CSEs, anything of that nature. You'll also have the opportunity to meet with our counselors through individualized conferences for the time here in the middle school. And of course, one of the big areas is our wellness center. So this is our little wellness lounge area. You'll see a lot of our 7th graders tend to hang out here in the mornings upon arrival. And in the wellness center, if you walk into it, this is where they would find their counselor offices, as well as this tends to be a very popular location for students that like to come here during transitions. Many of them like to sit and do a little bit of work or just kind of decompress with some of their friends as well. So great spot for a little bit of socializing during their day. And I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Chowdhury.
Thank you so much. Good evening and welcome. I know many of you from elementary school, and I'm very happy to see you. English is unique where it does not have honors in the middle school, and we do that for a particular reason. There's a lot of attention to differentiation and also really helping each individual student come up to speed so they're ready for high school as they go through. So as you can see on here, we have Introduction to Literature, and there are some YA and contemporary classic works on this. We do a lot of writing and a lot of support for writing as well. And our focus is on the writing process. Vocabulary is taught in conjunction within the text, and there is also a focus on spelling to make sure that we're up to speed in this area. And ELA preparation takes place before the ELA. It's mostly embedded. We don't make a big focus on that aspect because students are ready and do very well. I'm sorry about the math. I was a little too heavy on this. Do you? Thank you so much. No, maybe. All right. I feel better than it was. The first one is that students, we encourage them to write. Our Manhattan Media is our broadcast program, which is exploding, and middle schoolers are allowed to be part of the club. In addition, we have an online newspaper that we are asking students that they should be involved as well. We have a literary magazine. We have a lot going on, and there are opportunities for everyone. There are also in school that doesn't count for grades but for support is we have challenging sort of pre-AP activities to stretch students who are super talented as well. And in 7th and 8th grade, we have research papers over a process and very well supported. So we also encourage people for writing contests. Academic support is recommendations from elementary schools. You will be hearing from your reading teachers soon. And then we also work to support students as they go through, and you can always join AIS. And we have writing and we have reading support as well. And lastly, our peer responder program, which is award-winning, is something that's really wonderful to support students. It's through Mr. Kendall's class, and he has done a wonderful job on helping students transition into the middle school. And now I apologize. If anyone would like to speak with me, please in contact. I'm very available. I'm headed over to the board meeting to honor some of our writing winners. So thank you so much.
Hi everyone, I'm Lauren Tallerini. I'm the Math and Business Department Director here. It's great to see some familiar faces. I'm going to move this forward here, maybe. Oh, thank you, Mr. Coursework. So as you can sense, we are already eagerly planning and awaiting the arrival of your children. And to that end, we have already started to begin to consider placement for your children in their math class for 7th grade. As we go through that process, we do really look at everything available to us. We consider assessment scores, we consider their test scores in their class, any standardized scores. We do also look at a lot of their academic behaviors though too. Organization, their ability to work independently, their ability to persevere, their ability to think flexibly and efficiently. And so we do aim to get that done towards the spring. By late June, early July, everyone will receive a letter at home indicating their child's math placement for September. And we do monitor students very closely. First half of the year in particular, tweaking as we need. There is a lot more flexibility here at the secondary school than at our elementary schools, just because we have multiple sections. So if movement is needed, we can make that happen. We want kids to be challenged in their class, but absolutely not overwhelmed with the totality of their world. So here's a nice visual for you, sort of like a subway map. There's arrows going and coming everywhere, so you can see there's a lot of different pathways based on how students perform, and again, with their interests and aptitude here. Their placement for 7th grade is going to be based on their course this year. So if they're in a grade level classroom doing math and focus for grade 6, they will either be in Math 7R or Math 7 Accelerated and proceed on from there. And if they're taking middle school math, as a very small portion of our kids are doing now in 6th grade, they would be eligible for either Math 8 honors or Algebra honors as 7th graders, and again, proceeding on from there. We're really pleased to provide opportunities to support your children. We have a great bustling math lab, which is a really nice hub, staffed by TAs and by our Math Honor Society students from 7:30 till 3:08 every day. We've kind of gamified it. There's like 3D tic-tac-toe, there's mandalas for coloring, and it's a really nice place for kids to stop by either before school. Most of our teachers will hold extra help either in that area or in the classrooms immediately surrounding it. And we're happy to have the kids start to get to know our faces there. And if we could just, can we just go back just to 1 second there? Oh, thank you so much. And then just on the right-hand side, some opportunities for students who would like to do more math, even outside of the classroom. We do have a junior math leads team that meets weekly, and we have opportunities for students to participate in the American Mathematics exam. So can't wait to see them in September. Thanks. And now I'm going to go over to my colleague, Mr. Stuart Grabelski, our special ed director.
Thank you. Welcome. Sorry, my slide's a little out of order there. I always say every year that the transition from 6th to 7th grade is actually the easiest for those students with special needs, because a lot of the programs that we have here at the secondary school are very similar to those at the elementary. Obviously, you can see it up on the slide here, our related services, which is speech and language, our physical therapy, occupational therapy, and obviously we have our counselors that do some of the mandated counseling that's required on the IEPs. Some of the differences that you might see for the programs that we offer are the integrated co-teaching, which is having a general ed teacher and a special education teacher sharing a classroom for the core classes. We also have special class support, which they don't really have at the elementary level, but for those students with special needs, they get an extra every other day class that kind of supports that main class, the integrated co-teaching. Some of our students require organization skills, and we'll find that in a resource room. One important thing to notice is at the bottom, and it has been mentioned before, that all of these programs and services are recommended by the Committee on Special Education. It is a long, tedious, and scary process for everybody. So if you do have any concerns about your child, or if your child is currently in special education, feel free to reach out to myself or Mrs. San Antonio, our school psychologist, and we'll try to walk you through everything and make it as easy as possible. I know it's up there on the slide. Thank you so much for coming. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. McGrath.
Good evening. I'm here to talk about science, best subject ever. So 7th grade, we've just realigned our 7th grade curriculum. We had some overlap with 6 and 7, and we've worked all that out. So now we're fully aligned with the New York State Science Learning Standards. Those are coming into full effect next year at some grade levels, and then transitioning through the next few years until we are fully aligned from K to 12. So 7th grade is fully aligned this year. If you know anyone in 7th grade, it's changed a lot. They're solving a lot more problems, they're doing a lot more projects, it's a lot more hands-on, and kids are figuring it out, which is super exciting for everyone. That class meets for a single period every day, and like all other secondary courses that has both a midterm and a final exam. Some of our students in our double accelerated math are eligible for Earth Science 7 honors, but it's a very small group. And I have a meeting with those that are eligible in April. So if that is your child in the double accelerated math, you can look for my correspondence in the beginning of April. As students move through the middle school in 8th grade, when they take it, this year it's living environment, next year it's living environment, but congratulations 6th grade parents, your students get to take biology. So biology will be New York State aligned. And the topics are not changing that much. We're getting away from a full environmental focus and getting back down to the nitty-gritty of some of the interactions among cells and human body systems that has been left out in the past few years. That course will be offered as a Regents section and as honors. That's decided by the 7th grade teachers who spend a lot of time with your students monitoring their progress. That course meets for what I call a period and a half, meaning that it'll be a single period one day and then a double period the next day to allow for the labs that are more in-depth and really fabulous. There we go. As some academic supports, in the biology class we offer what we call the X class. So the X class is designed for students who might need a little more time with the content for mastery. It gives them an edge as far as content because they'll have a period every other day with one of our teachers, spending time practicing, going over things they might not understand, reviewing lab material, that sort of thing. It's a really great support for students that could benefit from that. And then as the Regents exam approaches in June, we offer prep sessions that are really important so that students really understand the magnitude of what they're tackling on their first Science Regents exam. So we spend a lot of time in preparation for that, and the teachers have really great materials that they share with every student, whether they're able to attend those sessions or not. I'm also lucky to be responsible for our technology classes. We offer technology in both grades 7 and 8. We follow Project Lead the Way curriculums. There's a unit in both of them. In 7th grade, it's actually automation and robotics, which is very exciting. We are doing robotics in 5th grade, and I know I've heard from some 6th grade parents like you just missed it. So hopefully you'll get into the 7th grade technology course so that your students can have some of that experience with robotics. In 8th grade, the curriculum is more design and modeling, which will help them prepare if they want to choose our engineering path at the high school level. They get into some of the technical drawing. And my favorite project is when they make puzzle cubes, and then they invite us in, and we have to solve them. And they're really hard and really fun, but they do a great job of that. We also offer to our middle schoolers the Science Olympiad. So this year's competition is actually a week from Saturday. So that is something that we've been preparing for months. The students at the middle school level tend to do very well, so I hope that they are again invited to our state competition, and that's open to everyone. We'll take as many as 3 teams, so we can have 45 students on the team. This year we're just a little shy of that. We have about 40 students that will be competing next weekend. And now, I'm going to introduce Mrs. Margaret Rona, social studies.
I don't know if everyone knows this, but many people in the elementary schools confuse both Dr. McGrath and myself. Personally, I don't see it, but I take it as a very good compliment. So it's always nice to follow Dr. McGrath. The transition for social studies from 6th grade to 7th grade will be seamless. The teachers on the elementary level, Mrs. Blank, Mrs. Kinsell, and Mrs. Mulholland, have done a lot of the work that you will see coming up in 7th grade. 7th grade is a totally different curriculum. In 6th grade, we're doing ancient civilizations. In 7th grade, we go to American history. And it's really nice because they get to have a 2-year deep dive into American history. 6th grade, we start with the pre-colonial era, and they get all the way to the Civil War. They do a lot of exciting projects and a lot of investigation into the writings and readings of those time periods. So some of the things that we do in social studies, I have to tell you up front, we're the ones that teach your kids to argue. And I have a middle schooler myself, and I think I've done a very good job. But part of the writing process is really getting them to look at and make a claim, or to look at a claim and then make an argument why that claim is true or false. We do a lot of work on media literacy. You can see on the slide we do a lot of reading and writing, a lot of the same skills that Dr. Chowsky referenced. But we really had students look at primary sources and analyze and come to conclusions, because many of you learn social studies probably very differently than your children. You learned about facts and time periods. They're going to learn about how there's a continuum of events and what has happened over time and some of the connections from the past to today. So it's really an interesting and engaging curriculum, and we're pretty excited with some of the activities that teachers get an opportunity to get involved in. Just trying every button. All right. One of the other things about the social studies before you move on is we have a club. It's called the 1680 Club, and it's all about debate. It meets on Wednesdays twice a month, and the students really enjoy it. But it's kind of interesting. It's mostly for middle school students, but this year we have like 3 or 4 high school students that wanted to stay in because they really enjoyed the activities for the 2 years. So that's one of the enrichment activities we have in social studies. I also supervise home and careers. It is a part of the elective program. So you can see on the left, these are the topics that we teach over the course of the year. It's every other day. And these are some of the skills that we really are looking to foster in students, which are certainly important for all their curriculums, which is decision-making, research, problem-solving, and project completion, and cooperative learning. Thank you. Oh, and now with my colleague, Mrs. Marshall-Moran.
Hi, good evening. Thank you very much. I'd like to begin by thanking all of you for helping us make your child's selection to begin their language study. It's really exciting. They'll be studying either Spanish, French, or Italian. Our goal, as far as the language program, is to immerse your students in the language that they chose when they come to us for each period during their school day. We align our curriculum to the New York State Learning Standards for World Language Instruction, and those standards include 3 modes of communication: interpersonal, presentational, and interpretive. And then also we couple that with culture. So we infuse culture in the instruction, and obviously we have the goal of building their vocabulary and providing them with as many opportunities as possible to develop their communication skills. As far as the assessment, in 7th grade, it's really the first half of level 1. At the conclusion of 8th grade, your children will take what's known as the FLACS exam in their respective language. And your counselors, as well as the teachers, will give you a little bit more detailed information about those assessments. So not to worry now, but just thinking towards the future. In terms of some additional information, and coursework that your children will have access to. Every child who studies a language will gain access to a Rosetta Stone account, and that will be assigned by the teachers, and your children will complete lessons and units that may be a little bit different than what's going on in the classroom, but again, the goal is to immerse your children in as much language as possible. We have support also in language. We have a very lively and robust language lab. Thank you to the Tower Foundation for providing that space and those computers and programs for us. It is a lively place. It becomes very lively early in the morning before school starts and then throughout the day. Each of the classes will circle through the language lab about every 2 to 2.5 weeks. And the teachers will develop opportunities, again, to provide as many opportunities for communication as possible. Lots of cool features in the language lab where students can call each other, have a group conversation, the teacher can listen in, provide individual feedback, and the teachers will talk a little bit more about that during open house. As far as enrichment is concerned, at the middle school level, your children will have the opportunity to participate in the national language contest. Those are actually being administered right now. We administered on Wednesday the French national contest, and then we'll follow that with the Italian and the Spanish. So we encourage your children to participate if they choose. It's entirely up to them. It's not obligatory. And with that, I would like to introduce my colleague, Dr. Owens.
Hi, everybody. I think the arts are the best subject that we offer here in the school. What I love about the arts, which I think many of you already know, is they really help students to find themselves and in the process contribute to making the world a more beautiful place. We have lots of opportunities for your children to get involved in the arts. As Dr. Verberg said, there's a little bit of random selection for the 7th grade electives. So we do make every effort if your child plays an instrument or expresses interest in singing in the choir that they are involved in those music programs. But we also have theater. That is an option that your child may be involved in during the school day. But we also have plenty of opportunity for them to get involved after school, particularly in the middle school with our theater program. We have a jazz band in the middle school. As you see here, we have an art club, photography club. All sorts of ways to get involved. We love to have as many kids as possible enjoy the arts. We find it's a good way for them to find themselves, develop some discipline, learn about what it's like to dive a little deeper into some of the ensemble skills they learned about working together with their peers, and of course, hopefully in the process making some sort of something that is presentable to the public. Something we very much enjoy. If you have any questions about the arts, my contact information is up there. I'd be happy to talk about it at length. Thanks, everyone.
So as I mentioned earlier, Ms. Ruffo was unable to be here this evening because of the crazy playoff schedule at the high school. But we have 4 sport seasons for the middle school. We have fall, winter 1, winter 2, and spring. When they get to the high school, it becomes 3 seasons. Fall, winter, not winter 1 or 2, and spring. You can see the activities that are listed up there really mirror what we offer pretty much in the high school, some exceptions. but many of our students are active in one sport or multiple sports. And if they are not into sports, there's many other avenues that have been shared earlier that they can participate in. In addition, I know you've heard it somewhat from each coordinator, but kind of putting it all together, these are all of many of the resources that we have for your children. The school begins at 8:08, when students start coming in as early as 7, 7:15, 7:20. Good luck if you try getting here before 8 o'clock. You will wait, so hopefully you're serious and some patience, and you can take it easy. But if you want to fly in here, drop your kids off, and get going, do it before 7:35, and you won't have any problems. We welcome your children to come to the school. There are a lot of resources for them to go to. We serve a hot breakfast every morning. It is very good. I eat it, so don't feel compelled that you have to make breakfast. Just send them to school, and then we'll take care of it from there. It is a great place. It is very student-centered, and they really feel mature being around the high schoolers, but really finding their own little place that are really exclusive to middle schoolers. We have a number of social activities throughout the school year. We encourage your children to participate in. It seems that dances are not nearly as in as they were 10, 15 years ago. It's not a Manhasset thing, it's global. I think cell phones kind of killed dances, unfortunately. But we do continue to try, and so please send your children to the school. Go out to dinner so they can't find you for 2 hours, because they're going to be calling you. It's not torture. They can come to a dance, participate, make new friends, and really see the school as a thriving, social, vibrant place that it is. And again, we have a number of clubs and activities that we've increased over the years for the middle school. For the high school, just as an FYI, we probably have triple, quadruple the number of clubs and activities, primarily to help give ample opportunities for students to develop their leadership ability as they're looking to climb towards applying for colleges. But most of our club activities for middle schoolers are within the 7th and 8th grade, which really is most of the time throughout the school. So even though there are even 240 students that will be here in 7th grade, will be a part of about 1,500 students, we really make sure that we have a plethora of activities that really are together, and it's really restricted in terms of the social and or curricular endeavors between the middle school and high school, even though it's one building. I hope that provided a good snapshot for you to begin to have a dialogue with your children in regards to what next year will consist of. It is a great place. I would encourage you to come to the April 19th meeting and then keep asking questions. The 2 elementary schools, they know the transition, especially the 6th grade teachers coming up to the middle school. We will have the lunch with the lawn in May, which will have the children come here to the school, and we'll welcome them. But if you have any questions, reach out to us. But thank you for coming this evening. Hope this was informative.